Welcome back to another episode of the Diabetes Digital Podcast presented by Food Heaven. Today we're going to talk about breakfast ideas that are balanced and that are not eggs. There are a lot of you who hate eggs, and this episode is for you. Eggs get talked about a lot when it comes to breakfast, especially in diabetes and blood sugar conversations. But there are many who don't like eggs, who don't tolerate them well, or people who maybe like them here and there, like me, but don't want them every morning. The good news is that eggs are not required for a balanced breakfast. And today we're breaking down A, what exactly makes a balanced breakfast, B, why protein and fiber matter in the morning, and C, and most importantly, plenty of egg-free ideas that can support your energy, satisfaction, and blood sugar without feeling restrictive. If you are a person living with diabetes, prediabetes, PCOS, or just want some personalized nutrition support from a registered dietitian covered by insurance, definitely check us out at diabetesdigital.co to connect with our culturally aware and weight inclusive team. Also, if you love our show, whether you are a new listener or an OG, we've been around the block, I should say, don't forget to rate or review us on iTunes and Spotify. It makes a huge difference, and we appreciate and read every single review. And for additional resources and show notes, always head over to diabetesdigital.co/podcast.
Welcome to the Diabetes Digital Podcast. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Jess, and we're best friends, registered dietitians, and diabetes educators.
Through our telehealth platform, diabetesdigital.co, we offer accessible and personalized virtual nutrition counseling for people with diabetes and prediabetes.
Visit diabetesdigital.co, that's C-O, to book your first appointment. We accept insurance and offer affordable self-pay options. Now, let's get into today's episode.
Okay, this is a mini-sode, so I'm going to just jump right in. What exactly makes a balanced breakfast? So I like to tell my patients that a breakfast should have at least 3 different food groups. And we want to try to get fiber in the morning as well. So one of those food groups that I recommend are carbohydrates. And I know you may have heard that if you have diabetes or prediabetes, you have to cut carbs. That is not the case. We need carbs. They're the preferred fuel of the brain and central nervous system. They give us energy and they're wonderful. So you need carbs. Also, protein. That's where the eggs come in. But today we're giving you other ideas. So protein helps support fullness and helps your blood sugar stay steadier. And last but not least, there's fiber and fat. So you could do fiber or fat or both because they both help to slow digestion and increase satisfaction. So personally, when I'm having breakfast, I like to have all 4 of these things: carbohydrates, protein, fiber, and fat. The fiber can be found within your carbohydrates or it can be found in something else. So we'll talk about that. And I want to jump into some egg-free protein options for breakfast. Okay, let's break down those food groups a little bit more. So many of you already know what carbohydrates are, but just in case you don't, I'm going to just give you a refresher. So carbs include your starches, your fruits, your yogurts, beans even include carbs. Many of these food groups I'm mentioning have carbs and protein, right? But most people only think about carbs as being like a donut or a cupcake, but it's all of those things, vegetables as well. Some of the carbs also have fiber in them, and we always want to have those on the plate. Okay, now I mentioned protein already. A lot of people think of eggs for breakfast, but I'm going to give you a list of some egg-free protein options that you can try out. So number 1, and this is probably one of my favorites to recommend, is Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is great because not only does it have carbohydrates, it also has protein. And even if you are a plant-based person, you can still enjoy Greek yogurt that has protein. I personally recommend Kite Hill is a brand. They have an amazing Greek yogurt that has the same amount of protein as traditional Greek yogurt. And it has about 15 grams, I believe, per serving, 15 to 17. So Kite Hill, check that out. Or you can do a traditional Greek yogurt. Again, that's going to have on average 15 grams of protein per serving, and that will be an excellent addition to your breakfast. Another option is cottage cheese. I personally am not the biggest fan of cottage cheese. The only time I do cottage cheese is if I'm mixing it with a soup. That's like a great hack. So if you are getting one of those canned lentil soups or, any kind of soup, you can mix cottage cheese with it. You don't taste the cottage cheese and it like doubles or triples your protein content. But if you're someone who likes cottage cheese, some people also like it blended up or mixed with different things. Like that is an option. It is a great source of protein. And you can even, when I used to work with kids and do cooking demos for kids, we would do a cottage cheese dip where we blended cottage cheese with garlic powder and onion powder and pepper, and it tastes like a ranch dip, and we would dip veggies in that, and it was really good. So for me, it's like has to be manipulated a little bit for me to be excited, but there's so many people who love it as is, maybe with some fruit, and go off. Another option is soy milk. This is something I have with breakfast many mornings in my smoothie. A glass of soy milk tends to have 8 to 9 grams of protein, which is excellent. You can also do cow's milk. That is also going to have protein as well as carbohydrate, and it gives you just a nice, refreshing boost of protein. Nut butters are another option. I also add nut butters into my smoothie. I love almond butter. I like peanut butter even more, honestly. And one thing that I will recommend to some clients who are looking to add a little bit of extra protein in there, especially my plant-based clients, is there's something called PB2, which is a powdered peanut butter that has a little bit extra protein in it that you can add directly into your smoothie, or you can, I believe, mix it with water and it makes a nut butter and it has just a little bit more protein. That's an option. Tofu and tempeh, great options. Love a good tofu scramble. So if you don't want eggs, but you want something similar, you can scramble tofu. You add turmeric, curry, spices, all paprika, and it looks just like eggs and it often tastes better. Also, tempeh is a really good option. They have things like tempeh bacon these days that you can serve with whatever breakfast you're having. So there's so many different options, especially in this day and age. I feel like the plant-based and non-egg options are like plentiful. If you're someone who is vegan, there's also the Just eggs that taste almost identical to eggs. And I used to do like Just egg sandwiches all the day where they have like kind of like a folded vegan egg that you put in a sandwich and it tastes really good. So many options. And then of course the beans, the lentils, I mentioned like the soup and mixing the cottage cheese cannot taste the cottage cheese and you get double or triple the protein. And there's always leftovers like chicken, fish, or tofu that you can have for breakfast. There's no rule saying that you can't have your dinner leftovers for breakfast. Oftentimes you might even feel better because it is more savory. It's going to have more of the different food groups and it might be more satisfying for you. One option I forgot to mention too is protein powders. While I don't recommend someone just substitutes, all their meals for shakes and powders like every day, it is an excellent additive, especially if you get one of the more simple protein powders that doesn't have a ton of added sugar. The brand that I like the most, there's two. So one is called Pro Mix. It was created by dietitians. They have amazing, amazing flavors and very simple. Like one of my favorites I mentioned on this podcast all the time is this. It's called strawberry milk, and it has dehydrated strawberries. And it's a whey protein. I think it's just dehydrated strawberries and whey protein powder. Now, if you are plant-based, they also have plant-based options, pea protein powders, but I like that brand as well as Naked, which is literally just whatever the main ingredient is. So they have a rice protein powder, they have a pea protein powder, they have a whey protein powder, and they're a little bit cheaper than the Pro Mix. So what I like to do is just to get different amino acids, and this is probably doing too much for most people, but since I am more on the vegetarian side and I don't tolerate whey as much, I love the whey. The whey is like a gold standard like protein powder. I just don't tolerate it as well. I like to mix 1 scoop of rice protein powder and 1 scoop of pea protein powder, just so I'm getting like a good mixture of amino acids. And that gives me my 25 grams of protein in my smoothie. All right, now I want to give you some actual balanced breakfast ideas that don't include eggs to put this all together. And maybe try 1 or 2 new ones this week and see what you think. So number 1, Greek yogurt, fruit, granola, and chia or flax. Hits all the different food groups I've talked about. Very, very satisfying and also delicious. Second is oatmeal made with milk or soy milk plus adding nut butter and berries. This is another one of my favorites. One of the brands that I love, I believe is called Healthy Choice. I mentioned it on an IG post, and it's nice because it's a quick cooking steel cut oats, and you just rip off the top and pour in the oatmeal, the dry oatmeal, and then you fill the container with water and then pour that in. It cooks. It's perfect. And then I add all these toppings. The next option is cottage cheese with toast, avocado, and fruit. Again, I'm not the biggest cottage cheese fan, but I do have people who love their cottage cheese and who love something like this, and it's simple. To that, I say, go off. Now, smoothie, I mentioned already, protein powder, seeds, fruit. Just try to get your 4 food groups. My smoothie that I have pretty much every morning, I can run through it. I do the soy milk, and I also like the Ripple milk, but just to get a variety of, again, different proteins, because Ripple milk has pea protein and I'm already having a scoop of pea protein, so it's overkill, I feel. But I do a cup of soy milk. I do a cup of frozen berries. I do a half a cup of frozen spinach or frozen cauliflower and some peanut butter. And then like I said, 1 scoop of rice protein powder, 1 scoop of pea protein powder. And that is, and then like half a banana. And that's pretty much it. And it keeps me feeling full. I just had it. And I usually, stay full for like at least 3 hours. Next up is toast with peanut butter and a banana plus a side of yogurt. This was my breakfast for 2 years. I find something, I guess it's hyperfixation, and I'm like good with that for at least 6 to 12 months, if not more. And then I can never have it again. So ever since then, I had it every day for 2 years. And then I was like, I can never have it again. But I used to love the toast, the peanut butter, the banana, and side of yogurt. Easy way to get about 30 grams of protein. A breakfast bowl with roasted potatoes, beans, avocado, and veggies. That is probably going to be like the most delicious, savory, blood sugar friendly option out of everything. I mean, they're all blood sugar friendly, but this one I can see just being like super satisfying. And we have found with our patients, when they do have like a savory breakfast and they make sure they're getting the balance of the different food groups, they definitely experience great blood sugar levels. So thinking of how can we add that fiber in there, adding the fat from the avocados, we have the carbs with the potatoes, we have the protein with the beans. And then of course you can do something simple like leftover rice and tofu with veggies and olive oil. I personally love cooking this in the rice cooker. So I guess that's technically not leftover rice, but sometimes you have leftover rice in the rice cooker and just add some tofu in there. These days, they have so many great brands of tofu that's like pre-cooked and flavorful, because that is one thing, like you need the flavor. My favorite brand is, I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Hodu, Hodu. They have delicious, delicious flavors. One is, I believe it's like a curry, and I just chop that up, put the rice in the rice cooker, add the water, chop up some slices of that pre-made tofu already flavored, throw in some frozen veggies, a little olive oil, and boom, I have an amazing meal that can be good for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. All these options include carbs, protein, and fat and fiber can be added. It's recommended to be added based on your preference and tolerance. Okay, so for those of you who feel like mornings are hard to eat something, because I know there's probably many who are like, but Jess, I don't even eat breakfast. I don't got the time. Couple of tips. So 1, try to prep the night before if you can. I love doing this, and it's as simple as, if it's your smoothie, I put all the ingredients in a plastic bag minus the milk and throw it in the freezer. And then in the morning, I dump it into my personal blender, and that's it. It works so well. And I noticed that just taking that like 5 minutes to do it the night before, it just makes the day so much easier. It flows so much better. And I love doing it. And the way that I think of it, because I never really want to do it, but I think of like my future self will really appreciate this. And that's the motivation. It's like, oh, I'm looking out for my future self. Also, if mornings are hard, liquid options tend to be easier than solid food. This is something I found too. Sometimes the idea of eating a big breakfast in the morning, I'm a slow eater. It takes a long time. I'll be sitting there for an hour, especially in the morning. And I find that just a smoothie gets the job done, and it's just a lot more friendly in the morning when you're kind of like still waking up. Now, if you are still having a hard time, I always say try to eat something, because that's going to be better than skipping entirely. So even if you're just eating a piece of fruit and like having a spoonful of peanut butter, that is going to be so much better than having nothing. Even if you just start with a piece of fruit and you can't even do the peanut butter, or vice versa, do that and work your way up to, 2 or 3 things as part of that mini meal. Okay. And if you need more ideas, RRDs can help you experiment with what feels doable and sounds ideal for you. So to wrap things up, a balanced breakfast does not require eggs. We just recommend that it includes nourishment, flexibility, and listening to your body. And if eggs aren't your thing, there's so many options, as I mentioned, that can support your energy, satisfaction, and blood sugar in a weight-inclusive way. And if you are looking to figure out what balance looks like for you, our registered dietitians can support you without food rules or pressure. So definitely check us out at diabetesdigital.co. Most people pay nothing with insurance. And if I did not work at Diabetes Digital, I would absolutely be working with one of the dietitians myself too, just to have that support system and the accountability to make sure that you're doing the things to take care of yourself. All right, y'all, we will catch you next time. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode. If you're interested in nutrition counseling with one of our expert dietitians to help improve your prediabetes or diabetes, visit us at diabetesdigital.co.
Also, if you found our conversation helpful, do us a favor and rate and review this podcast on iTunes, plus share with someone who might find this helpful. You can also connect with us on Instagram at diabetesdigital.co.
And tune in every Wednesday for practical, inclusive, and culturally humble diabetes insights. We'll catch you later. Bye.